And welcome to Sports on Tap. I'm your host, Rob Troutman. We have Sean Duffy and Ed Dick joining. Josh Jeffy is out on assignment. And guys, we're going to talk a little bit about the Greater Cleveland High School Hockey League as we have Rocky River head coach Chris Kogan joining us here in a few minutes. And it's been crazy with the hockey season, especially with the standings and statistics. So we don't have a lot on that, but Coach Kogan's going to come on and tell us a little bit about what he's going through this season, because I know they missed, I think, 6 games they had to forfeit, but they had some recent games. But guys, thanks for joining us again. We're back, and how's everybody doing?
Doing good.
Living the
Glad to
dream.
be glad to be on. Glad to be talking a little bit of sports here.
Yeah, the Hockey League, it's their 50th anniversary this year. It's a little bit different this year. It's kind of up in the air. Our coverage, we were the media partners with the Greater Cleveland High School Hockey League, which we were really excited about. But this year's going to be a little bit challenging, especially with all these games and restrictions and even the families. It's probably going to be tough, but we'll see what happens with the hockey season. The football season, I thought, went pretty well, where they were able to, get the season done. And I thought it was pretty successful. What did you guys think about the football season from this past year with what's going on?
To kind of pivot off of what you said there, Rob, the state of things as they are right now with COVID, where it is and just, a non-COVID year, a lot of the games that these hockey teams play are in tournaments and things like that. So that's a little bit different this year because of COVID and the fact that a lot of these games are getting canceled or postponed till later on, So while I agree with you, the football season went as smoothly as possible. We still saw some issues. There were still some canceled games. Some teams had to sit out a couple of weeks right in the middle of their season. Some truncated their season a little bit.
Whoa.
But
Whoa.
yeah, dude, it's been a long day. But yeah, to answer your question, Rob, I think the football season went as good as it could be expected. Everything got in. I think they're personally onto something with allowing it to play out very similar to how basketball does. But you want your 10 weeks of football plus your playoffs. So I like the idea this year that everyone's in, and I think other schools are going to follow suit there. I think we're also going to see, or other sports, follow suit there. They're going to let people are going to. I don't think the playoffs are going to be as hotly contested as high school football, but it's a 2020, so it's a season of surprises.
And I think it sets up best for football because they only play once a week, and they don't play back-to-back games. They don't play 2 games out every 3 nights, whatever the case is. Some of these, in most other sports, you could potentially have back-to-backs or you're playing at least every 3 days or every 4 days. So, I think football has a built-in advantage, if you can even call it that, with how they can handle operating in this world right now, and we see it with the NFL as well. They're hell bent on getting every team to play every game. They've shifted schedules around something fierce. Some teams just haven't been able. Some teams got punished and had to play without a quarterback.
Yeah,
it's and you feel for the kids. Unfortunately, in high school, in the playoffs, a team like Elyria Catholic, who was, I believe, the number 4 seed in their respective region, they had to forfeit their game against Oak Harbor because of COVID, and that was a team that had a lot going for them. And going into the playoffs, they had a great quarterback and a great running back and some really good defenders, and unfortunately, that kind of wiped out the rest of their season. And that's the cost benefit of having a season through this time. So, and it's gonna be no different with Coach Kogan when we talk to him here shortly.
Yeah, and I think he'll be fun to talk to. Every year, we do with the Greater Cleveland High School Hockey League. It's a lot of fun covering them. Last year we had fun at the Barron Cup. We had the All-Star game, the All-Star draft we do. So we'll see what we can do. Obviously, this is a little different because it's indoors. But like you compared, I mean, football is a different beast because it's only once a week too, where, hockey, you're playing almost 30, 40 games, probably about 30, I believe, for their season for the most part. And then you got the playoffs. And the playoffs this year, I think, is going to be interesting because we had some changes where, it could be every team, kind of like they did in football, or the teams that want to be in the playoffs. So we'll see how that works out. But what do you guys say we bring on Coach Kogan and talk to him now? I know he's waiting patiently there, so we'll get him in here. And Coach, how you doing, Coach?
Hey guys,
Coach.
how are you?
How
Good.
you doing, Coach?
How have you been?
Hanging in there.
That's Coach Kogan of the Rocky River Pirates, and it's certainly 2020 has been a little different of a year. It's been crazy. How's it been for you guys with your off season and then getting this season started?
Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's definitely been a different year. We started right out of the gate in October, the end of October there, and then had our first 4 scrimmages, and then got shut down for 2 weeks. Went into quarantine, and then right coming out of there, we got paused for another week through the school district. And so this past weekend was our first 2 games. So a lot of practicing, and then like I said, we jumped into our 2 games last weekend and played some heavy competition right out of the gate with St. Francis and St. Ignatius.
Yeah, that's certainly some good competition to start the year. How did those games go for you?
Well, we're 0-2 right now. I think the guys were just excited, number one, to play. So I think night one against St. Francis, they're a very good team, highly skilled. And we got down early and we couldn't rebound. And I think there was just a lot of jitters. I think, especially coming out of a lot of practicing and just game one, we should have been 7 games in. So that might have been a little different story, getting a little comfortable with guys, playing in more game situation. So, they're good. I couldn't obviously get too upset with them. And then we played better on night 2 against Ignatius, lost 4-2. Another very good team. But there's a lot of room to improve. And unfortunately, we went back down yesterday for another 10 days back into quarantine. So we lost the game last night. Didn't lose one. We weren't allowed to play. So we're in quarantine until Christmas Eve.
Yeah,
So
that's certainly going to be tough.
It's a rough year. It's a rough one. It's emotional. Day to day, hour to hour, you just don't know what to expect.
It's certainly, this certainly tests your mettle as a coach and really adjusting on the fly. I mean, you're used to adjusting on the fly when you're in the game situation, figuring out your lines and when to deploy. But I mean, how I'm not envious of some of the positions that the coaches are in and for what you guys are going through right now.
No, yeah, I mean, it's definitely a lot. Like I said, you just don't know what to expect on a day to day. And I've told this story a couple times with a couple different people, but when this all started last spring in March, I felt terrible for the athletes that were involved and the coaches that were involved. But now that we're still dealing with this pandemic, and I'm knee deep, waist deep into this. I'm a coach. My son's a senior, so it's way different, and I feel for these kids. So I mean, there's really not too much to say. It's unfortunate. It's out of our control. We have to listen to our school districts. We have to listen to the Board of Health, and we have to do our part and try and follow directions and stay with. If you're out, make sure you know who you're with and that kind of thing. But these are high school kids, and it's kind of hard to keep them all wrapped up and inside.
Yeah, absolutely. And And how tough is it? I mean, a lot of these kids can't practice. I mean, so now you can't practice either. So I'm sure you're limited on practice time, which, it's unfortunate. Like you said, your son's a senior, and all the seniors on the team to go through this. I mean, they're just happy probably to play any games they can at this point because it's just one of those years that, what you said, you get a kid that has COVID, and then everybody on the team, if they're in close quarters with them, have to quarantine, and that's the whole team, and then you're shut down again. That's got to be a difficult roller coaster ride, but it almost seems like you just go with the flow, as tough as it is.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when we come back out of this, we're going right into the Walsh tournament at Christmas time there, and I think we have 2 more games like that following week. So, a decent amount of games right when we come back, and my rink and our youth program, they've been really good as far as trying to find ice time for us to fit games in. If we have to play 4 times in a week and only practice once, I think that's kind of the route we're going to go if we can find the ice time, because the guys are getting not that they're getting tired of each other, but they're getting tired of practicing against each other.
Yeah.
So we need to find some competition.
Coach, are you having any? Are you still going through? I mean, we hear all the time about obviously at the professional level, even at the college level, things like that, having these Zoom calls type things to discuss what they can be doing while they're quarantined. I know obviously if they're not feeling well, they're not going to do anything. But those that aren't feeling anything, is there something you're doing with with your team to kind of keep their heads as close to the game as possible, if anything, to keep their sanity without? Otherwise, they're just lost in video games and Fortnite and all kinds of other stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we have been very fortunate because when we came out on November 30th, we were able to practice then. Even though we weren't allowed to compete against other teams, we were still allowed to practice. So we were on the ice a lot up until this past weekend. So yes, when we are down, we have had some Zoom calls, and we have discussed, try and get out and take a lap around the block, get on a stationary bike, get on a treadmill, something to keep your legs, active, and try and keep going a little bit. It does get hard though, I mean, there's only so much you can do at home, and like you said, and some guys can't do that kind of stuff. But we do encourage it, and a lot of guys did take advantage of some of the things that we offered, and try to stay in shape while we were gone.
Well, let's go back to when things were a little more simpler and we were playing. You guys went to Barron Cup, the Barron Cup 1 final last year, and won a couple of games in the state tournament. How was when you guys came back for this year? All COVID aside, who are some of the players that were big parts of what you had going on last year that you're counting on for this year?
Yeah, so we've got a lot of returning guys. We have 10 seniors this year. So one of our lines is senior heavy. It's with Danny Asmar, Hayden Weaver, and Reese Rochester. Those guys are, that's a go-to line right there for us. Matt Stuber on defense. He's if we could never take him off the ice, we probably wouldn't. But that's not. It's not obviously something that it's possible. But yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of returning guys that have heavy minutes, that played a lot of meaningful minutes last year. So we're really looking forward to this year, and happy with what we had coming back, and thinking that we could compete at a high level. And hopefully once we get back here, the 24th, we'll be able to rattle off, hopefully a good long stretch here, and not have any more pauses.
Yeah, the last few seasons, I mean, you guys have been right there. Last year you faced a really tough Mentor team who also did well. I mean, what progress have you seen? Even in the Barron Cup, obviously it's the tournament for everybody in the Greater Cleveland High School Hockey League, and this was the 5th anniversary. So I know, Ryan Kilber, the president, was really excited about this season, and you face some difficult challenges, but the progress when you get into the state tournament. It seems like Menor and you guys have done pretty well in the state tournament. I mean, you advanced a few rounds last year. Then you play St. Ed's and you give them a contest there. What's it been like for you in the program to keep making those positive steps? And has it been successful in recruiting other players to come out and play for you?
Yeah, I think, over the last few years, we've competed well deep into the tournament. And by doing that, I believe, like what you said, like it has helped us retain some of our athletes, and they're staying at Rocky River. We're not losing the players that we were in the past, but with the numbers, the amount. So it's a huge difference, and you give it all the credit to the kids wanting to stay with their friends and competing at their home school, and then just working hard. And we also work with the youth program, trying to go out and work with those kids and at practice and just be visible out there with them. We haven't done it obviously this year. Kind of got away from it a little bit last year just because of the circumstances, but it's kind of what we want to do. We want to be visible there. But it does definitely make a big difference. And, I think our success going on and we hope every day that we make it deep into those state runs that we can put up a good game against, those teams and eventually, crack it again and get through.
Even though you guys haven't been able to get out and see the youth program on the ice, have you been able to connect with some of the youth coaches? Maybe just through Zoom calls or whatever the case is, to kind of just check it out and see how things are going. Has that opportunity lent itself?
I have not done any Zoom calls with them, no. But I am around the rink since that's where I work. So I do, keep an eye and see what's going on. But we're at no parents allowed at practices right now. So I'm pretty much just leaving work as teams are coming in, or on the weekend, just catching the tail end of something. So it's definitely hard. That's a great idea though. Maybe just to jump on a call and get in touch with all of them and see if there's anything that we could offer at this time. Maybe even a Zoom call with the players to their team. Just check in, like you said. That's an awesome idea.
Crack on a couple of cold ones with the youth coaches. Feel like, hey man, we're all on the same boat here, guys.
That's right.
That's the idea, man. We've always said that. He comes up with the genius ideas all the time.
Yeah.
So
I'll definitely make sure that that it's not my idea. I'll make sure that they know what to do.
Well, maybe Ed will have to be on that Zoom call.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, Ed.
No, I was just going to make another self-deprecating joke about myself. Please continue.
No, there's been a lot of Zoom calls. I know, recently we did a Zoom call with Ryan Kelber, the president of the Greater Cleveland High School Hockey League, and he's been, on Zoom calls constantly, talking to hockey coaches, all throughout, and trying to get as organized as he can. And this season, I think, like you said, it's going to be fun once you get going a little bit and it gets under control. But you've done a great job with the program, and I know you're an experienced coach. It's always fun talking to you, and I think it's going to be fun to see how the kids, when they come back on the 24th, how they're gonna. I think they're going to be pretty ready to get some games underway here.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, like Ryan's done a great job. His hands are pretty much tied too. He tried to do as much as he can to keep the league together and run it as normal as possible. And unfortunately, he's left all the games in place. There's just going to be like no standings and that kind of thing. But the games are in place, so if we're able to play, we're going to play those games. Just like you said, so the kids can play games and get out there against other people and play. And hopefully, like you said, 50th year of Barron Cup. Ryan did a great job in trying, Brooklyn getting that logo painted at center ice. So it's hopefully we get to get over there and use it, and people can see it, and we can play the tournament.
I know we're excited for that because we always have a blast in the Barron Cup. And now that there's a logo painted on the ice, I might go out there and get a picture with it. Although I'll probably fall and need an ambulance afterwards. But it is what it is.
All right. You'll be all right.
No,
we were, Coach. Sorry, Rob.
No, you're good.
I know at this point players are just happy to get out and play, regardless if it's in front of fans or parents or whatever the case is. In your opinion, if I would imagine most games are going to be played really without fans or parents, so there really isn't going to be a whole lot of noise, ancillary noise in the background. Do you see that affecting the kids at all? Especially if you're maybe home or maybe even in the Barron Cup, where hopefully there will be fans by then. But I mean, it gets pretty loud during Barron Cup, and I think there's certainly some juice that comes from that.
Yeah, you're right. I think it's going to depend on from rink to rink, obviously, what the fans are. We're at one parent per player right now because it depends on your rink capacity and then the 15%. So we're at one parent per player. I've heard that some rinks are going to 2. So it all depends. But I guess, people have asked me that before too. And I said, I don't really know who's over in the stands because I don't really pay attention. It doesn't really mean anything or matter to me.
Right.
I guess we've kind of continued what we've been doing at our games and playing music in between whistles, so that kind of just keeps some noise in the building, and keeps it kind of as normal. Obviously when there's a goal, there's no students, going crazy or anything like that. Just moms and whoever's there are cheering, as loud as they can, but it's definitely different. But again, it's, do we want the kids to play right now?
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? And like you said, like, we're just happy to be out there and be able to compete whenever we're able to.
Absolutely. We talked about some of the seniors you had coming back. They're primed for a big year. Who are some of the newcomers that we maybe not have talked about in the past?
I have a couple of freshmen. I have like Lucas Updike. He's a freshman playing some real minutes right now. I got sophomore defenseman Owen Toole, Luke Scapulis, another freshman. So I have some younger guys, a handful of sophomores, and then like I said, like just senior heavy. And my son, this will be his first true test in varsity and goal. So he was our JV goalie last year and our backup. So I mean, he's gonna have to figure it out sooner than later. But he's done a lot. He's come a long way, and I've told people before too. I've put him through the ringer for the last 2 years, converted him after his freshman year to goalie, and I just hope he gets a chance to be able to see, show people what he can do.
Now, how tough is it as a coach and also as a dad not to know your limits really with your son and to not maybe, I'm sure you're on him more than maybe some of the other players, but how do you know when, not to cross the line and say, all right, I need to calm down and step back and let him do his thing and learn from his mistakes? Because I'm sure as a coach and a dad, it probably is tough. Obviously, you want him to play the best of his ability, but you also, don't want to get on his nerves and have him get frustrated either out there.
Yeah. My assistant coach did a great job stepping right into that 2 years ago. And he told Christopher that if you ever needed to talk to anybody, just go see him. Because he played for his dad in high school, and he had an assistant coach that went up to him and said the same thing. And he said, listen, I get it. Like you're going to get it 24/7. So if you need an outlet, I'm here for you. I try not to get too crazy and especially in the rink. And then it might every once in a while boil over into the house. Then it quickly goes away. It's hard. It's hard, but we get through it, and we still talk every day, and have the father-son relationship kind of thing. So it's definitely different. And like you said, like we've been talking about, once we get into it, it might change a little bit this year.
Yeah.
Because we're, get into a lot of games and see what's going on. I might have a couple other things to say to them. Hopefully not. Hopefully they're all good, and we can just roll with it. And he can have a great senior year, and we can have a good year.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd like to see what those dinner conversations are like after a game. Obviously, the wins will be a lot of fun. You guys have been successful, winning a lot of games, and obviously, like we said, this year's going to be up and down with trying to play games and getting games in. But you already faced some true tests, and it obviously you played Ignatius and you played them close. So that's a true test to your players, and they're going to come together. And I think when all said and done, they'll have a fun year and still enjoy this year.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that's what we're hoping for. We're hoping we just once we get back out there, we can just roll with it and finish it off.
Now, how do you even game plan right now? Like whether it's the next game, because you really don't know what your next game is. But is there you kind of wait and see who you play, and then you game plan. The day before. It almost seems like you have to game plan on the fly here.
That's exactly it. I'm constantly on the phone, emailing, trying to figure out who we can play, when they can play, if they can play. There was a point last week where I was trying to, we were originally supposed to play Bowling Green last Saturday, and then I found out they couldn't play on Tuesday. Wednesday, I got another team. Wednesday afternoon, they called me back and said they couldn't play. So then I was on the phone, trying to find somebody. So it's just, it's who can play and when can play. And like you said, it's on the fly. Like you just got to hope that somebody can play and the time works. I think last week when I was trying to find a game, there were 8 teams in the area that were eligible to play. And it's just the schools were on pauses. They were on quarantine. So for whatever reason it was, there was just in Summit County, or is it Summit, right? Summit County shut down.
Yeah.
So like after the first. So you wipe out a whole handful of teams there. We were supposed to play Hudson on Friday, but they're not allowed to play until after the first of the year. I got that email last week. So just all those things just come in, and you don't want to give up ice time if you're eligible to play or able to play. I tell Guy, I said, Guy, don't wipe out my refs, because I'm going to try and fill those slots if my opponent's not able to play. But it's just, we just got to go on the fly. And I told my parents that too. I said, you might get a call at 3:30 or an email saying, hey, we're playing tonight at 6. We just got to be ready to go.
You guys turn into like firefighters, just waiting, just waiting with their skates, right by the door. We're gonna play. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy how that is right now. But I imagine you're not the only coach having that issue. And it's not, and unfortunately, hockey is not the only sport that's dealing with it either. I think basketball's running into it, and both men's and women's basketball. Other winners, anything really indoors. We were talking about this earlier before you came on. The outdoor sports, the fall sports, ran as smoothly as they could, given the situation. Probably smoother than most people expected.
Sure.
But once it comes inside, it's a different animal altogether. And I think the pains we're seeing now, hopefully, will pay off towards the back end of the winter here, and we'll have a lot of action towards the end of the year going into the state tournament. And who knows if those are going to remain in the same time frame as they are now. The way things are, who knows if the state tournament is going to start early or late at this point.
Yeah, I think the only thing that we're kind of stuck with would be the finals in Columbus, because I think we're locked into that agreement wide for 10 years. I don't think there's a lot of wiggle room in that area. But yeah, I don't know. It would be nice, to see maybe a little bit of an extension somehow, possibly, especially if teams keep getting shut down. And again, there's teams out there that haven't played a game yet. They haven't even started yet. So, they're way behind. Some of them haven't even practiced. Or just started to practice last week. So, we're lucky to be, I guess, being able to play at least a couple games and practice for 3 weeks or whatever, and it's tough. It's really it's hard.
Well, I'm sure for a coach, it's got to be challenging, but you're doing the best you can, under the circumstances. And, once everything kind of gets back to somewhat of a normalcy, I guess, I'm sure you'll be pretty happy, and life will be maybe a little bit easier at that point in time, to say the
Who
least.
knows?
It'd be nice, and it would be nice to see and have. Yeah, and it would be awesome to see you guys back at B-Dubs. At the end of the year, do something like that.
I know.
Hopefully,
I mean,
we might just have to go up to B-Dubs when things calm down and just talk a little hockey and have fun, regardless of what we're doing. I think.
I mean, I don't need an excuse like a hockey draft to go to B-Dubs. I love B-Dubs, so
yeah.
That just gave me a better excuse to tell my wife, "Oh, I got to go cover this for the podcast," while I stuff my face with wings.
No, we'll be excited, once we can get back to the rink and cover you guys and promote the league, because it's a great league, and we always enjoy talking to you guys, and it's always a lot of fun. So, guys, any last thoughts for Coach Kogan of the Rocky River Pirates?
Coach, good luck this year. Hopefully, not only for yourself, but for all the teams out there who are working through these. Get as many games as you can, and we really, really hope to see you guys at Barron Cup and obviously at B-Dubs for the senior draft.
Appreciate it, guys. I'm always happy to jump on and talk with you guys. You guys do a great job at what you do, so thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we appreciate it. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon. Good luck the rest of the season, and hopefully it gets a little bit easier.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, guys. Good to see you.
Thanks,
Thank
Coach.
you.
That's Coach Chris Kogan of the Rocky River Pirates hockey program joining us here on Sports on Tap. And guys, it's always fun to talk to these head coaches and kind of see what's going on overall. Under the circumstances, it's going to be a little bit tough, but we're just glad we had the chance to talk to him here on Sports on Tap, and always great talking to them and seeing what's going to happen down the road here.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's challenging. I mean, that's what it is. I think that's the watchword for 2020, 2021 is going to be just a challenge. It's fluid. Things are very fluid, and they are. You know what I mean? We just kind of have to get used to this, and I think we're all at least I am a little bit feeling a little bit of the 2020 burnout, as I'm calling it. We're coming to the end of it, and it's just kind of like, we've been running this race, and we're starting to get a little fatigued with it, and there's hope, hopefully, but you just feel like Ed said, you feel bad for the kids. You know what I mean? Because they want to get out and play, and especially for the way Coach Kogan described it, the start and the stop of it, and a lot of it not their fault. I mean, obviously they're quarantined, and that's an animal unto itself. But now they're maybe running into an opportunity where, okay, we're supposed to play this game, and there's no one to play. It's and you don't want to just throw your hands up in the air and give up on the season, but it's very you really do feel bad for those kids that just want to get out on the ice and play somebody other than their own teammates, because from a football standpoint, I used to hate scrimmaging each other because I knew how to beat it wasn't challenging to me anymore. And I think that's probably what a lot of these kids are feeling. But, that's a good coach that we just talked to. That's going to keep those kids engaged. He's going to take Ed's idea, pass it off as his own, reach out to the youth program, talk to them. Yeah, it's going to – I just, it's for us, we're so used to this – having information, and even for us from a media standpoint, it's hard to kind of you can't talk about sports if they're not playing them, unfortunately, and that's what we run into.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, this there's not a whole lot of information out about the hockey league, even when it's running normally.
Right.
Obviously, some of the websites that we go to, shutout.com, is one of the best websites for local high school hockey that you can find. Sportability is fantastic as well. But I don't really blame either of those websites for not being maintained because no one's really playing right now, and it'd be impossible to try to keep that going. Again, it's not like football where, people are sending things into Joe Idle and he can just update stuff at the snap of a button.
Yeah.
I think you're really hearing Coach Kogan talk about the challenges that they've been going through. You really I think you have to appreciate the role of a coach that much more. And not that it wasn't hard for football, because it certainly was. Because you don't know if you don't know if you're going to suit up that day or not.
Yeah.
But in this realm, I think it's a little bit harder because there are limited rink. There's limited rink time, as Coach said. They're not every city or every school has their own rink. Literally, I would say 98% of the high schools have their own football field. So finding a venue really isn't that tough for a football team. To ship some teams there and play, but for a hockey standpoint, and it depends on the facility too. Does the facility want to allow anybody in there to play, let alone fans in the stands? You don't really come across that too much with football because it is outdoors, and you can space yourself out infinitely more at a football field. So, credit to all Coach Kogan and all the hockey coaches, who are going through this and are trying to make things the best they possibly can for their kids. Ultimately, every coach is in it for the kids. They're in it to provide the best experience, provide them with life experience. And there's no more life experience for a high schooler than what's going on right now.
Yeah, no, there's no
Crash
doubt.
course and flexibility.
That's what I mean. That's why I kind of asked the question on, you basically have to coach on the fly. I mean, you have to be ready at any point. I mean, it stinks when you have to keep making phone calls to figure out what teams are even available to play games. But that's kind of where we're at for right now, and I think it'll get better eventually. But for right now, you almost just kind of have to roll with the punches and see what happens. And like you said, though, you want the kids to get out there as much as they can and enjoy their senior season, or just enjoy their season in general. I'm sure this is going to be a year that everyone's obviously going to remember the bad, the good, and the ugly. With 2020, obviously, it's been a crazy year, but they're still going to remember it, and you hope that they can get out there and play as much as they can. And like you said, football did a great job. That's an outdoor sport. But they had challenges, and I thought they did a really good job of, containing everything and letting the kids get out there and having fun. And hockey's indoor, so, just got to figure out some different ideas and challenges there. But I think they're going to get it done and still have a fun year. So we'll see what happens.
Well, one thing's for sure, guys, and I think we can all agree that no matter what games are played, no matter how many teams are playing, no matter if we have 2 games a night or 15 games a night, we at Sports on Tap are going to do our best to bring you as in-depth a coverage of the Greater Cleveland High School Hockey League as we can. We will effort to get out to some of these games if the restrictions are lifted. If not, we will do our best to piece together the best update we can, because that's what we do here at Sports on Tap.
All right, guys. All right. Well, hey, have a great week. Appreciate you guys tonight. And, hey, we're halfway to the weekend.
Go Irish.
Have a good one, guys.
All right, take care, guys.
Yep.
See ya.